Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Boy, my life, it's no, I don't know. I feel like my guardian angel is testing me all the time. So I'm gonna do a few updates, and then I'm gonna do another story time, which again, this one is a pretty funny one. It's a fun one, and I did get permission to talk about them. So, before anybody gets their knickers in a twist, I got permission. So, a couple of updates. I know a lot of you have reached out to me because you guys saw that my Instagram account was hacked this week. Yes, my Instagram account was hacked. I managed to get it back, and did a whole bunch of changes, and I'm fogging up. I'm sorry. But yes, I was hacked. It was pretty fucking stressful. I'm not even gonna lie. Man, that came out of left field, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I didn't know if I was gonna get my account back. Like, I wasn't even stressing because of social media. I just know that a lot of people reach out through my Instagram to me. They send me messages and stuff, so that was like my concern and stuff. Lo and behold, I found out that this hacker like hacked, like, I don't know, it was like this backdoor, and he like had all these profiles like attached to mine. It was fucked up, but anyways, I got it sorted out, locked everybody out, blocked them, reported them, got in touch with the Canadian Fraud Center because there was like this whole bunch of things with like this hacker was posting about RBC and stuff, so I did have to get in touch with the Canadian Fraud department and all that stuff. That was great. So that was my week in a nutshell. But I woke up to some good news today. My book has now been released on all ebook platforms, small bookstores and companies. It has been released on Amazon and will come to like bigger bookstores, like Barnes and Noble, Indigo/Chapter, and so on and so forth. And will be put into community center libraries in the next coming weeks. Now, there is a disclaimer with Amazon that I actually freaking well learned today. So my book prices are a little bit more expensive on Amazon, and you will see that there's a free shipping. Unfortunately, Amazon, they can be a little bit tricky, added the shipping kind of like taxes onto the like seller price, so that's why it seems pricey. Basically, if they didn't do that, they would charge for shipping. So instead of doing that, they just added it on to the seller price. So that's why you'll probably see my hard copy more expensive, and a little bit more expensive with my paperback cover books. But that's kind of, I just wanted to explain that before I got like, a message of like, oh my god, your book's so expensive on Amazon. I know, and I'm working with Amazon to try to figure out something. But I guess like Amazon has to make no money too, right? So we're working on that, but my book is out there for more people to get their hands on. Or you guys can just again follow the link that's in the description. So yeah, that's some exciting updated information. God, after the week I had, that was actually some good news. Anyways, on to a story time video. Okay, story time story. What? Anyways, okay, moving on. So this story happened, well, not story, but this experience happened a few years ago. Actually, I was fresh out of just graduating from college. And before I actually graduated from college, so this is when I went to get my ECE, which is Early Childhood Education degree. So I was actually asked to work with this women's shelter slash kind of like childcare. So my responsibility was for the children and the mothers some of the time. It was an interesting and sad time. I do have to be careful of like not giving out too many details. But I did get permission to say certain things. So it's going to be a little bit broad, but the main people that I'm going to be talking about, also they gave me the permission to talk about. Anyways, so we also had this security team working with us, which is just great. You guys have actually heard me mention their names before: Sean, Dave, Will. There was Kyle. Unfortunately, we did lose him a few years ago too. And there was CJ, and then Cooper. And now CJ and Cooper, I'm still in contact with them, but I'm still not. I'm not as close as I am with them as I am with. Hold on, Will, Dave, and Sean. And of course Kyle. He's passed away. So, it's interesting. So, anyways, so. We were changing shifts, and I was closing that night, like at the Child Care Center, and we ended up getting snowed in. Okay, it was a really, really bad snowstorm, like where all the roads and highways were closed, and we were kind of like in the office area, so it was kind of basically the shelter was in a home. The daycare was also run from a home, but the office was like down the road, in like another home, but like a smaller home area. Anyway, so we got snowed in there, and I had Will, Dave, Sean, and Kyle with me. So I did get permission from Kyle's grandmother to talk about him. I like to cover all my bases. She's very glad that we're still, talking about him. And oh, he was an amazing dude. Kind of funny. He was really funny. But anyways, we'll get to that. So anyways, we were finishing up the reports for the day, and we knew that the snow was like picking up, but we didn't know like how bad it was gonna get until we got like the news alerts that basically you snowed in, bitch. Like you can't go anywhere. The roads and highway was closed. So we basically had to hunker down and spend the night there. And so they're ex-military, well, not ex, but they are ex-military. They're retired, or non-active duty. And so them being military men, they came prepared for anything and pulled out a whole bunch of sleeping bags. And we were basically hunkered down for the night, and we knew each other. We were getting close, but we didn't know a lot of backstory of each other. And besides my aunt, this was actually the first night that I felt comfortable enough to start talking about my story. They encouraged me not to forcibly talk about it, but they encouraged me to that potentially it will help me, that it will begin my healing journey, and it would just help to just say it. And I remember just, I don't know, feeling so comfortable with them and being able to trust them. And they shared some of their stories with me, and I just remember being comfortable and talking about it with them. And they were so understanding and non-judgmental, and they just sat and listened. And they were a little bit older than me. Dave is the eldest of the group, and he's kind of like the protector of all of us, and he's just really sweet and kind and really down to earth. I mean, these guys would dress up in like tiaras for the kids. They would like paint their nails for the kids. Like it was really, and they would like wear aprons, and it was very cute to watch them with kids. And I was like, oh my god, this is, I don't know, I just remember feeling really happy and comfortable around them, And as I was telling my story to them. Dave made us hot cocoa. I remember that. And we just, I don't know, we basically spent the whole night talking. You know, they sat for like hours listening to my story, and, you know, it was just so, I don't know, it felt like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. Like I didn't have to carry this alone, you know, and that like saying the words out loud and them actually believing me. And, you know, they were extremely pissed off. They were so pissed off, not at me, but at like the school system and just how everybody handled the situation around me. And it was just so comforting to know that, you know, they could see that I was carrying a weight and I was struggling. And, you know, they wanted to know how they could help me. They wanted to know if there was anything that they could do for me. And it was just, I don't know, it was just such a good, comforting situation. And it was just like, you know, we were adults, you know, we could just talk. And they listened. And, you know, I was able to talk to them about my aunt that had passed away. This was not too long after she passed. I think it was like a year or two. And I just remember talking to them about her and you know, having that weight, that, you know, I had, I've talked about this, that I didn't feel like I could grieve properly for her because everybody was grieving her and I had to be the strong one. And, you know, nobody was really checking in on me, with my grief. And it happened so fast and so many things were happening all at once. And it was tough. It was tough to grieve her and then just move on with life. Like it was like full sail ahead with life. Like there wasn't just a moment that it just stopped. And just being able to talk about that with them, and you know, they have lost friends, and just to have that connection with somebody that, you know, it wasn't the same type of loss, but it was a loss, and how they just had to like pick up and move on and just go and continue on in life. And it was just, it was a lot, you know. I was dealing with college and it was a whole bunch of stuff when my aunt died, and it was a lot. It was a lot overwhelming, you know. I was just starting my medication and it was a lot, you know. And they were just so understanding. And we literally spent the whole night talking and just hanging out in our sleeping bags, drinking hot chocolate. Like it was just so comfortable and natural. Anyways, so moving on. Next morning, we had to shovel our asses out. Like it was so much snow. But the funny thing was, like, it was like, I don't know, it was like 15 centimeters of snow where we were, because we were closer to the water, so a lot of snow fell. But it was so warm the next day. So we're in the garage, right? When the office of the garage to the office? What? Okay, anyways. And we were pulling out shovels and stuff, and this is when, like, Kyle comes into place. Like, honestly, I missed the guy. So it was so hot, we didn't have to wear coats. So they were, like, in t-shirts. And, you know, there wasn't enough shovels for all of us. And Kyle's like, stand back, ma'am. We're professionals. And he, like, swung the shovel over his shoulder, but he ended up hitting himself in the head. And I remember, like, trying to keep a straight face, right? And I'm like, yeah, professionals, right? And he's like, anywho. And he opens up the garage door and he, like, carries on and he starts shoveling. And I just remember giggling, and Dave was just standing there like, what an idiot, and he just shook his head and kept going. Across the street, there was an elderly couple, and her husband was stuck in a wheelchair. Well, not stuck, but he was in a wheelchair, and, she was older. And, the guys, of course, being the gentlemen that they were, started shoveling, her driveway as well. And, like, you could tell, like, she was getting flustered by them, because, these guys are, like, over 6 feet tall. They're very muscular. Dave had a beard, they were tattooed. And, she was like, oh. So just to put fuel to the flame, what do? They go shirtless. Because they're like, oh, we're sweating. And, of course, like, she the elderly lady, she was just like, oh, like, she was getting so flustered, and she was just like, luckily we didn't have to go into work till the afternoon that day, so it was great. It was just so funny watching them. And of course they had to do that whole macho thing, and freaking Sean, I love Sean. Sean turns around and like, oh, be a dear and make us some lemonade. And I'm like, bitch, who do you think you are? And I'm like, lemonade this. So I like made a snowball and I threw it at his head. Will, being Will, was like, ooh, boy, you gonna let her do that to you? And then the snowball fight starts. So it's me, Kyle, Sean, Will. We're just going at it. We're just throwing snowballs at each other. And then Dave was just kind of like, again, he's like the protector of all of us. And he's kind of like, I don't want to say the father of the group, but he's very like, he was the leader of their squad in the army. So basically, listen to him and they follow orders. And we were getting so like wrapped up in like the snowball fight and doing the shoveling and all that stuff that Dave ended up picking me up, throwing me over his shoulder and being like, now kids, behave. It was just and then I was just like, are you like, no, like, your boys started it with the whole lemonade thing. And then he's like, well, young miss, you had to throw the first snowball. And I'm like, damn straight I did. And like, I was kind of like fighting him and stuff. And he's like, now behave. And I'm like, make me. What does this idiot do? He dumps my ass in the snow. He tosses me into the snow pile. And I'm like, really? But it was just like, in this moment, so much shit had happened over the past few years up to this point. And it's like, this is the first time I felt so much joy and no like pressure to be somebody that I wasn't. No trying to live up to expectation. Not trying to be anybody but me. And it just felt so good to be so free and just silly and funny in that moment. And we were all, laughing and having a good time. And it just felt so comfortable. And I remember looking around at, like, basically my squad here. A bunch of broken but strong human beings. We all had a past. We all had stories. We all had scars and traumas. And it was just like we could be okay, And I just remembered, like, yeah, these guys are going to be in my life for a very long time. And they have helped so much over the past few years. They went to therapy with me. it got really bad a few months later with just a lot of things were coming to head. I was kind of just at this point of like, I was angry and frustrated at myself, and I just didn't know how to process everything. And I leaned on them, and I was like, I think I need some help. And they introduced me to a therapist, badass therapist. I like him. And I was so scared to go to my first therapy meeting, or session, I should say, that I knew I couldn't do it alone, if that makes sense. So they came with me, and Sean held my hand through the whole session, and I just felt so safe with them. I was able to do things I didn't think I could or would be able to ever do, and they were just there. They were ready to be my protectors, catch me if I fall, kind of people. They were like, they are my squad. They are my people. And they saw me through a really dark point in my life. And they helped me to be strong. They pretty much taught me how to laugh again and be silly and kind of have that mortality of like, you can be yourself. You can be anybody you want to be. You don't have to be somebody else for somebody. And I just remember being like, I don't think that's possible. And they were like, we will help you. And they have always been there for me. Since I met them a few years ago, they have always had my back. And when we lost Kyle, it was hard. It was hard on all of us. And I thought it would really it would break us, and it did, but we broke together. We were able to lean on each other. We were able to help each other and grieve together, and we were able to be sad. We were able to be angry. We were able to process all of that. And Dave was actually the one to break the news to me. They were called back into active duty, and they all went, and saying goodbye to them was one of the most challenging things I had to do, because I knew the real I can't even speak. This is tough. I knew that there was a chance that they weren't going to come back. That's just what I've learned, having military friends and, some family that have served in the military. That's just that weight you have to carry of just knowing you are sending your loved ones out and you don't know if they're going to come back. And I had moved jobs by this point, and I was living on my own, and we were old fashioned, so we'd write each other letters. And Dave showed up on my doorstep in his uniform. And I knew just by looking at him, something bad had happened. The letters had stopped from them. I got one from Sean, and he said, something happened, but we're okay. But that didn't really sit right with me. So when Dave showed up in his uniform on my doorstep, I knew. And when he handed me Kyle's dog tags, I knew Kyle wasn't coming home to us. The man that used to dance in the rain with me, or try to be that macho guy and hit himself in the head with a shovel, and all the laughters and the silliness that we had. It was tough. But we were all able to lean on each other and help each other through the grief. And I'm so lucky to have them in my life to this day. Before COVID hit, we always used to go to Kyle's grave and hang out and tell stories and visit his grandmother. But it was kind of tough going out for during COVID, because I was helping out some immune compromised people, and they respected that, and they didn't want to compromise anybody's, and they wanted to make sure I was safe throughout COVID. And when I became immune compromised and got COVID pneumonia, that was great. They were very sweet. They would send me food. They would talk to me every day. And actually, it was a month ago that it would have been Kyle's 35th birthday. And that was the first birthday we didn't actually get to well, actually, it wasn't the first birthday. It was the second birthday. We weren't able to spend with his grandmother or together just to celebrate Kyle. And it was tough. It was really, really tough. But, we're going to do something hopefully this summer. Hopefully everything is just leveling out, because, we're going to, no mask mandate now, which is great. I think it's going to bite us in the ass, but here we go. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed the silliness of us. I'm going to be sharing a lot more stories of all of us. Again, they have given me permission to share these stories, and these guys watch the videos, so they were totally okay with it. But anyways, guys, that was an ending, kind of random ending, but thank you for supporting me. I know some of you guys have already bought my book, so thank you. I appreciate it. And I just hope, my book is able to at least help or reach out to one person to know that they aren't alone. But yeah, it's life likes to throw me little bumps along the way, but that's okay. that is okay. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it here. It's almost been 30 minutes of me sharing stories and updates and randomness. But anyways, guys, remember, never give up, always keep fighting. You're enough, and you're very much loved. Until the next video, guys, stay safe. Love you guys.